You want to be the character that punches down walls, catches bullets, and can take a hit with anything. I'm talking about the Himbo, the Hunk, the character with no smarts but loads of brawn. Yes, my friends, I'm talking about the Barbarian-esque character, or the physically strong character you might be playing in your next tabletop RPG. So when I say the big brooding hunk, or the dumbo, or the dumb muscle, or the bronze for brains, I mean just that. The Barbarian-esque character who lacks smarts, whether that be socially or intellectually or book smarts, and instead is a hulking mass of muscle and strength. When I think of characters like that, think of any kind of Barbarian-esque or powerhouse character. Some more relatable ones for me are Taiju from Dr. Stone, Bane from Batman and Robin, Bowser from the Mario series, Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. Who could forget that himbo? Or any kind of bruiser character you see in any other medium. These characters are usually meat brains, clueless, they lack some level of smarts, not all of them, but lack a lot of smarts that other characters in those series make up for. So, in your next tabletop RPG, usually your character like that is going to have a high strength, brawn, or physical stat, while say their intellectual stats or other stats might be a little bit lower. And if you get the kind of archetype I'm talking about, everyone loves the funny, good-hearted brute in their tabletop. They aren't the most clever or book smart, but they might be cunning, street smart, and definitely physically strong. At the same time, these characters, especially if you play them in a certain kind of way, can be super one-dimensional. They can lack any kind of depth, and their only characteristic is that they're strong. They do good in fights. And for some players that might work, but if your campaign is, say, very much focused on non-combat mechanics or non-combat encounters, then your character might feel, well, useless. So let's talk about some things that your character can do to lean in their strengths, pun intended, while also providing the players around your table with more support. So we obviously know that your character is physically strong. Maybe they have cybernetics that allow them to crush through walls or to lift cars. Maybe they're just physically strong through years and years and years of training. Or maybe they use psychokinetic powers that allow them to imbue their muscles with this almost supernatural human strength. Or inhuman strength. Whatever the case may be, your character's strength should have at least some concept of where it comes from. Knowing where your character's strength comes from allows you to build your character around that. Their background, their characteristics, and even how they interact with the world. For example, let's say you're playing a D&D 5e game in a high fantasy setting, and your character is a barbarian. Your barbarian can come from so many different scenarios simply than just, well, being born in, say, a forest in the middle of nowhere. What if your character was trained at a young age to be a fighter? No, a warrior for that matter. And much of her life was filled with warfare and fighting as a child soldier. There's a clear reason to why they have the strength they have when they start adventuring. There is plot that already is backing your character up, and you as the player have something to lean into. Not only you know what their strength comes from, but you also know where their weaknesses lie. Because while they might be strong physically, their background is likely going to help you define where they lack. And while your character might be physically strong, they're going to have major weaknesses, and you gotta lean into those as well. Physical strength means to stat, physical strength. But let's say you physically empowered character is unable to use their hands or their legs. What do they do then? What if they're trapped somewhere that's imposing them, especially if it's using magic or something entirely out of their element? Those are ways that you as a player know that this is your chance to allow other players to use their characters. Maybe you're playing in a high fantasy setting with a wizard and a rogue. Those two are going to complement your high powerful character, but it also counts for social encounters. Like I said earlier, you're a physically strong character, but you're dumb for brains. How do you go about finishing and resolving social or non-combat encounters without busting someone upside the head? Well, I think that can lean to a lot of different characteristics. Let's go back to the war hero or the child soldier example I did before. In this high fantasy setting, the child soldier probably has not seen a lot of magic. Maybe it's a low magic campaign, so for them, they've never seen a wizard, they've never seen any kind of magic in their entire life. As such, your character, when it encounters magic, is not going to know how to respond. They're going to show some kind of fear or concern or confusion at the sight of, say, someone casting a fireball. or even someone lighting up the sky with arcane magic. It's an interesting way not only to give flesh to your character and make them wonder about the world and learn and grow, but also shows that your character has things they want to learn. In a similar sense, if you're encountering something that might be a magical based encounter, that's where you as the player and subsequently as the character can lean into that. Maybe your character goes to punch at this magical enforced wall and it backfires. That's not only a funny experience for you as the player, hopefully, but it also allows you as the character to say, hey wizard, or hey rogue, find another way to solve this problem. I think playing a physically strong character is the perfect place to go. Whether you like kicking ass, punching down walls, grabbing a rocket in the middle of the air, whatever the case may be in your campaign, they have a purpose and they serve one purpose: to be a badass on the combat field. At the same time, this is an opportunity for your character to grow throughout your story you're telling, or whether that be a one-shot. Barbarians and all those kinds of characters provide one special thing: they're physically strong, and as much as you think you're a badass, your players are too. So rely on them when your character is struggling, and use their weaknesses to build their character so that they become more fleshed out people. And the best hope is that your character learns that they can't solve all of their problems with their physical strength, whether it was something they trained themselves to be good at, or something they just got through, say, a special boon. So, next time you choose to play a hunk of a character, remember, punch through walls, but also, your friends are your power. I know that was cheesy, but I'm your average everyday queer host, Blurty Disposition, and hope you all have an awesome day. Ciao!